Welcome back to Call for Help. If you've ever wanted to test out a browser other than Netscape or Internet Explorer, we got the man here. Jacob Nielsen is here to give us all the information about all browsers, non-Microsoft and Netscape.
Right, exactly.
Great. So what would be the impetus to do this? Why would you want to, in most people's minds, what do you think the #1 impetus is?
Just have something smaller, something more efficient, something that doesn't necessarily crash so often. Some of these alternative browsers really download fast. They don't take up much space in your computer. So if you have an older computer, a slow computer, that's a really big reason to try the other browsers.
Now, for Macintosh users, normally they are using, what is their browser? And talk a little bit about Mac objects.
Well, I mean, in the Mac, many people use Internet Explorer because, they made a big deal between Apple and Microsoft to make that the preferred browser. But you can certainly use many other ones. And one of the really, in my opinion, really cool ones is iCab, which is only available for the Macintosh. And this is kind of like the good old days as far as Mac users are concerned, right? Having something that's only on the Mac. They really love that.
Well, why don't you drive here and show us a little bit of what we got? This is iCab.
So we have, well, it's the fun little weird icon here, right? Your taxi for the internet. Let's see if we can get it actually opened.
There we go.
Okay, it's opening.
Okay.
I really do hate those pulsating buttons. But that's not iCab. That's Steve Jobs. Okay, so here we go, and we should just go to some random website, Tech TV, I guess.
Having like a little bit of random self-promotion here. Okay, and what do we notice right away that's going to be different?
Actually, don't notice so far yet.
This is interesting.
You normally would not do that, right? Normally you would have set up all your preferences in advance.
Okay.
So I would just say start it all and...
It looks very similar. It has a lot of the same attributes.
Well,
here.
I mean, the basic features are the same. They've been the same since Mosaic in 1993. So that's actually one of my big complaints. There's been so little progress in web browsers. And we still have, back, home, reload, things like that. And so if you just look at the page, right, it looks pretty much like any other web page, which is one of the features. I mean, you can just get the web just as you normally would, but you get more features as well, which will take a little bit longer to go into, but it's much more customizable. So you can turn off a lot of the things that some people find really annoying, like pop-ups, so boom, boom, in your face, right? Kill it with iCab.
That's good. Normally, if you're using Internet Explorer or Netscape, you have to download some sort of pop-up killer or web washer.
Exactly, but it's just built in here. So also, actually, they can also screen out advertisements like banner ads and such, which also many people like to do.
Jacob, Opera used to do that, and now it doesn't, right?
Well, I mean, you can kind of argue about that point because in some ways you could say that the banners are paying for many of the free websites. So screening them out, I mean, I think it's okay, but I mean, I'm kind of on the side of the users. But I can imagine why Opera decided to kind of like be a little bit more on the level with some of the big corporations.
Well, let's look at Opera. We have it on another computer here. And what do we notice about Opera, and where do you get it? That's the first question I have.
Well, Opera is from Norway, which is kind of fun. It's rather unusual for software to come from Norway, but it's a bunch of Norwegians, including actually some quite good people who were part of many of the early web projects. So you would just download it from, I guess it says opera.com, but it actually is located in Norway despite being a .com.
What's interesting about this interface, it feels like it treats the page more as a file with all of these little kind of directory services over in the left. Now, I guess Internet Explorer does that, but somehow this feels a little different.
Yeah, and it does just help you more understand the structure of the information space. A lot of web browsers or traditional web browsers are very much like browsing web with blinders on. Like you just look at this one page, and that's all you ever see, which actually, the internet as a whole, a website has a structure to it. iCab, by the way, also does something to help you understand the structure of the website, whereas the big web browsers, they're just really page rendering software. And I'd like to give people more of an appreciation for the structure, the navigation space, help them find their way around.
Right.
Another thing that's a benefit of Opera is that it's faster and smaller. So if you have a slow computer, that's another benefit.
The main benefit used to be that it was free, and now it's not unless you want to put up with their own ad banners that they have on their own browser, which is a little weird.
Well, but, I mean, come on, these guys are spending...
They got to make money,
exactly.
I know.
They spend a lot of effort in making this browser for you, so I think you should pay for it. It's not that expensive.
You can get rid of these ads if you want to. If you hit F11, you'll just maximize and go to a real full screen, even more of a full screen than Internet Explorer affords you. But nonetheless, when it's not in that full screen mode, it sure does take up a lot of your real estate.
Yeah, I mean, just pay and get rid of those ads. That's just really silly. But.
Let's take a quick discussion of links, because for many people, this is a crazy backwards revolution.
Oh, I think it's actually it's a text-only web browser. And the good thing about this is it gives you the view of how the web feels to a blind person, to somebody who cannot see the pictures. And so I think this is incredibly important for anybody who designs their own websites, is to go and take a look at them in links. Because it shows you how your website will look without the pictures. So does it work for somebody who cannot see the images?
Jacob, I'm not even sure I'm doing this right. I am so lost in
Well,
here.
it's a little bit of an old-fashioned, little bit Unix-like interface, and I don't think it's really wonderful for the average user to just use their main browser. But it's, first of all, it's very good if you happen to be browsing from a very, very slow connection, so you do not want to download the images.
Is this a web page right here?
This is actually their own, I guess, help file. But you do not click on anything, right? This is not a graphical user interface. This is a text-based user interface. So what you would say is you would type in G for go.
Okay. Wait. Oh,
type G.
Okay, G.
Actually, it's probably stuck right now trying to go to that address there, which may not be responding. But basically, any web page you go to will look like that. So the links will be highlighted in color, but you do not click on them. You kind of like tab forward till you get it, and then you kind of hit return.
Tab and G. Interesting. Well, it looks like it is stuck trying to go to that other one. Why don't we really get stuck with this other program that we're going to launch, which is definitely going to crash our system because it's called Cubic Eye, and this is the exact opposite of links. It is so busy.
Yeah, I think it's more for fun than for real use, actually. It maybe give you an idea of how some interfaces to come in the future, but this is not the real interface. You really would not want to have your web pages kind of all skewed up and rendered in weird resolutions, just so that you can fly through them and pretend that you're in a building. But yeah, I mean, so it has some interesting features here where you can sort of see some neighboring areas, and just the entire idea of a 3D interface is one of the things I would say to explore. I would not say not to use for real, not today. It's just not there yet.
This is an amazing, amazing feel. It gives you that perspective of being in a relational environment.
So again, it's not just that standalone feel of the individual page, which is what you get on IE and Netscape. This really gives you the feeling, yeah, well...
You get a lot of this. This thing is just, it's pretty beta right now.
Oh, it is.
It takes incredible resources.
Yeah.
So
I should mention one of the great benefits of Opera, which we looked at before, is that it really is much more robust. It very rarely crashes, whereas Netscape, for example, crashes much too often for my taste.
Got it. Well, Jacob Nielsen, thank you so much. We have links to all of these browsers on our website. And be sure to read Jacob's excellent article detailing some of the alternative browsers on the market to discover which one really suits your needs. This is his book, Designing Web Usability. It's a real Bible for folks who want to create great UI on the web. Jacob Nielsen, thank you so much for joining us and showing us all these cool browsers.